ministry team.
Hi, Road family.
Hi, we're the Chumbleys. My name's David.
And I'm Rebecca.
And this is one of our children, Liam.
We're Ethan and Deb, and we're the parents of Rocky, Penny, and George.
My girls, I have Jocelyn, Mia, Layla, Annie, Juliana, and Cora.
We have 3 kids, and 2 that are in children's church, and 1 that's in the toddler area.
Our children both attend the preschool and the nursery.
We just want to say thank you so much for serving our kids every week and just pouring into them. They absolutely love coming.
I just wanted to say thank you for being so diligent in teaching all the children at the road.
And we just wanted to thank you all for everything y'all do. We know that takes sacrifice and a lot of time out of your Sunday to minister to our children.
Thank you to all the servant leaders that help out at the Road Church. You guys do so much. Since the first day we stepped foot in the church, we instantly felt so comfortable and so welcome to be there.
You know, it's incredible to see even little George, his face light up every week when he gets to check into the nursery.
I know that all of the teachers at the road, for them, are a bright spot in their lives. We didn't come for a few weeks because I was sick. My one daughter, Mia, said, we have to go to church today. I will walk to church if we don't go to church.
Everybody that helps out with the children are amazing with our kids, and it feels so good to be able to drop them off and to be able to trust the people that we leave them with.
The work that you do every week it has repercussions that are so significant. We're seeing that with Penelope when she tells us about the truths that she's learning.
My girls, this is the most they've ever loved church. They love going to class. This is the most participation I've ever seen from them. They do such a great job that they can't wait to come back to church.
We've been happy since the first day we set foot in there. Our children love you guys. We just feel like it's just one big family.
And I also want to thank the individual who gave me 2 raspberry fritters a couple weeks ago. That was really cool.
Thank you for all you do. God bless you.
We thank you, servant leaders, and everybody there at the church for being so good with our children.
Appreciate everything y'all do here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know who's responsible for the raspberry fritters, but you know who you are, and thank you for doing that. I thought that was just so fun. We just had to leave that in the video because it was just hilarious. Well, guys, there's so much to say thank you for. Thank you guys, number one, for being here. I really am so blessed to see all of y'all's faces, but I also want to just give an attitude of gratitude to all of our leaders, to the leaders of this ministry. Obviously, I'm the children's director, and Brandy oversees our preschool ministry, or the NexGen Junior. So everyone give a round of applause for Brandy. Get ready because we're going to do a lot of clapping, okay? Under Brandy, we have Rochelle, who oversees our nursery with Nicole. So let's give a round of applause for Rochelle and Nicole. And we have Blanca, who oversees the toddlers. Give a round of applause for Blanca. Woo, Blanca, yeah. And then we have Bella and Shallon, who look out for our preschool ministry. So good job to you guys. And then we have my incredible, lovely wife, Kristen Rupert, who is right back here. She's awesome. I love her so much, obviously. But she works with Brittany and Jess Alifat, who look out for our NexGen, not NexGen Junior, but NexGen, all of our elementary kids. And they do such an awesome job. So let's just give a round of applause for all of these people. Guys, literally for myself, coming on, the question I was asking myself is, okay, why do you need me? Because there is such an incredible team already in place, and just working with them and getting to know them, and obviously you guys do because you're with them in the classroom on a weekly or monthly basis, and you know them, and you get to build that relationship. But for me, I'm still trying to do that, and just learning who they are and what they stand for, and their heart for kids is just amazing. And I said this the last prayer huddle we did, I was just like, this is the group of people I want to be around. It's the people I want to associate with, just the positivity and the drive for the next generation. And that's who you guys get to work with on a weekly basis. So well done to all of our team. And that word is so powerful in my mind, that word team. with Kristen and myself, the capacity that we have to disciple the next generation is 25 kids. Legally, that's the only amount. Now, if we were in the school system, we could have 50 kids because she could teach a classroom and I could teach a classroom, hypothetically, right? But with a team, our capacity is so much greater. On a monthly basis, our ministry sees 170 different children within the ministry. Like, that's incredible. But besides that, there's 340 different parents represented by those children. And that adds up to be just over 500 people. Like, who knows that that's the size of a church? Like, literally, I grew up in a church of 50 people. So, like, for me, this is a big deal. And even a mentor of mine was saying, like, you have to approach this as pastoring a church. And that's exactly what we're doing. As a team, we are pastoring a church. And, you can get caught up in titles, or you can get caught up in positions and be like, oh, I'm the children's director, or I'm this, or I'm that. But without a team, none of that can get accomplished. If I'm going to consider myself, this big person because, I'm the children's director or whatever, 25 kids. That's the capacity I have. But together, we can reach our city. And that's really my vision for this kids ministry, is as we grow and as we add people to our ranks and to our numbers, and our ministries become, as we begin to duplicate ourselves and begin to pull other people into our ministries, and our ministry becomes self-sufficient, we'll be able to expand our influence beyond these four walls and actually be able to impact families outside in our community through different avenues. And some of those we'll be mentioning in the future. But that's just, from my heart. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this team. And it's no secret that our generation is under attack, and we could list all the different things: the new sex education, the child trafficking, intentional gender confusion, the sexualization of children portrayed in movies and entertainment, the fatherless generation, and of course abortion. But this isn't a surprise to us. You look in the Bible and you see Pharaoh so afraid of what the next generation could do. So what does he order? He orders that all of these children be killed, be murdered. Or Herod was so scared of this one person, that just one element of the next generation, that he had an entire generation murdered. Or we see Herod, one of his number one, or I'm sorry, not Herod, but Hitler, one of his number one tactics, his first sphere of influence was the Hitler Youth, infiltrating the education system and being able to brainwash the next generation. The enemy is aware that there is power in the next generation, and that's why we have such an important job of discipling them and raising them up. And that's why I'm so passionate about this position. I preached on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego a few weeks ago, and I love that story because you see three men who are completely out of their comfort zone. Imagine your 10, 11, or 12-year-olds who are, out of their comfort zone. They're being deported to a foreign land. What would we be able to be confident that they would stand up for the truth and stand up for righteousness and justice? I believe that most of you guys in here, if not all of you, would be able to say absolutely yes, because I know you guys, and you're discipling them and you're pouring into them. And something that really spoke to me before I actually stepped into a children's ministry role, is I had a dream. And in this dream, I was at this outdoor arena type thing, and it was some type of rally, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. And but it was not like, in your dream you kind of feel like a heaviness, and it was not a good rally. Something bad was about to happen. And my wife and I were walking through the crowd, and we come face to face with this child, apparently, that we know. I didn't recognize the child in my dream, but in the dream I just knew the child, and I was like, oh, I'll say, John, I can't believe it's you. And John hugged me and I hugged him, and we both bawled in the dream. We were just crying. And as this is happening, the crowd is getting more and more agitated, and you know that something bad is about to go down. And so I hold John on the arms and I say, John, whatever you do, hold on to Jesus. And John looks me straight in the eyes, tears running down his face, and he says, I will. And then the crowd goes crazy, and he gets sucked into the crowd in a way. But I woke up from that dream feeling confident, feeling happy, because I knew that John was going to be holding on to Jesus. And to me, that just paints such a picture. And this was kind of what led me into kids ministry, not necessarily the dream, but having then stepped into kids ministry, the dream made sense to me. That children in our day and age, they're like those foreigners in foreigners in the distant land, where they're surrounded by chaos, they're surrounded by agendas that are targeting them. But if we can, as families, as a church, as a children's ministry, encourage kids to hold on to Jesus, they can withstand whatever comes their way. And that is the charge that we have. That's what God has given us. And, we are a team. We're taking children through a journey. If that's instilling love in the subconscious of children in the nursery, through that interaction with them, that speaking to them, and that praying over them, or teaching moral compass and godly principles in the preschool and toddlers, or discipling young believers with the truth of God's word in the elementary, or providing guidance and wisdom to preteens as they're trying to step into their personal Christian walk through our newly opening this week, Route 56, which we're super excited about. We are taking children through a journey. We're taking them through a process, and we're able to meet them through every single psychological and spiritual development phase of their lives. Like, that is powerful. And, as a preschool, we're focused on just one of those things. But once again, going back to team, we are taking them through a journey. And as a team, we're able to meet them where they're at in every single stage of their lives. And so just a few kind of golden principles of the kids ministry. Number one is that we are partnering with parents. Our goal as a kids ministry is to help parents have a win. Parents have the hardest job of raising their children. I was taught school for the first 4 months that I was here, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how anyone does this. It's just emotionally and physically draining, because for me, I was with 9 classes every single day, but for most teachers, they're with 1 class every single day, and it's the same kids. But it's so much work, because you're with them day in and day out. And for a children's ministry, we see them once, maybe twice a week. But for parents, they're with their children day in and day out. They have the hardest job. And so we want, as a children's ministry, to be able to support them, to be able to come alongside them. And that's why I love the people in this video who, and these are, some of them are the ones I asked specifically, because they had expressed to me, they're like, it just feels so good to be able to drop off my kids and know that they're with, safe people. And, just them edifying the different staff members or children's workers to myself, because you guys are making an impact to parents, and that's what our goal is. Secondly, is making kids ministry extremely engaging. We want, I met with a principal of the school that I taught at, and we were just kind of talking through curriculum ideas, and he was saying that, kids don't necessarily remember what they learned at church. They'll remember ideas or concepts. He's like, but they remember the different things they learned at school. And he said specifically at our school, because they have a unique curriculum or teaching format, but he says because we go deep instead of wide. And so I was like, wow, that's really, really interesting. But that's what we want to do as a kids ministry, is if we're talking about the love of God, and we're going deep in that. We've got big, visible props or things that are going to help concrete these concepts in the children's minds, and going deep and making it extremely engaging. Number 3 is relationship-oriented children's ministry. That's something, and I'm not the best at it, but that's always how I try to approach ministry, is relationship. Now, research shows that children learn best with relationships with their teachers, with their parents, with other people they can look up to in their lives. And so that's what we want to approach, and in small groups and everything that we do, we want to be relational. And that's one reason we encourage consistency throughout the kids ministry, because you're going to grow in relationship with the servant leaders in the room, with the people over the room, with the leadership of the kids ministry. You're going to grow in relationship with the kids, and they're going to grow in relationship with you. And if all those things are happening, chances are you're going to want to serve more consistently, because there's that relationship built, opposed to when it's and everyone has different time frames that work well for them and not. So there's no judgment, but that's one reason we encourage consistency, is for relationship. We want our kids to have those peers in their lives, not peers, but those examples in their lives that they can look up to that's outside of the home. Because, especially that's why Route 56 is going to be so important, because they're reaching an age where they're starting to kind of tune out their parents' advice, because they're transitioning into teen years, and they need positive people around them who can pour into their lives. So a few announcements. We've got some really exciting things coming up in 2022. Number one is Vacation Bible School. We're going to be doing a VBS this year, which I'm super excited about. We're going to be doing Submerged, which I was actually wrong, guys. We do have one more thing that's going to need sound. I'm just going to it's just like a 1-minute video of just Submerged VBS, just because I think it's kind of fun. Doesn't that look fun? I have done, in my ministry, I've done probably 5 or 6 different Vacation Bible Schools, and this was always the one I look back to as my favorite. The music is phenomenal. It's like Moana music. It's like really, really great music, and just the whole concept is super duper fun. And this is going to be a really great time for everyone to pitch in, because we're going to need, I've typically done like a drama in the past, like a kids or teen drama. So people who have experiencing in that, or stage design, or decorating. There's a Bible story rotation, craft rotation, science rotation, music rotation. There's no matter what you're gifting, there's a place for you in VBS. And so I love that, because you really get to see a team come together. And what I love about it in terms of the kids is it's literally pushing the message of the VBS, or the message of the Bible, at kids from every single sensory inlet that they have. Their eyes, their taste, their smell, their sight, their hearing. Well, I said eyes. But anyway, every single area, and even physically, like through the games and stuff, and every single step of the way, it's emphasizing the lessons of the Bible. And this, the theme is God is our rescuer, so therefore we can go out because he's our confidence, and it's really cool. But so if you guys are interested in being a part of something specific as far as craft or whatever, there'll be an email sending out also giving you guys the opportunity to respond as far as what you want to do. But let me know. We also have a worship dance class that Carly Anderson is going to be starting, and so she's looking for some people to come alongside her to help out with that. It's probably going to be on Wednesday nights. We have another meeting coming up, I think it's this coming week, just to finalize some of those details, so more announcements there. September, we're going to be starting practice for our Christmas production. So my wife and I have typically overseen a Christmas play that children do, and so it involves like choir and acting and staging and all of those things. Once again, super duper fun. So if you guys have experience or want to be a part of that. And lastly, part of how we want to help parents win is we're going to be starting a family resource email, and that email is going to have marriage resources, where they can just click on the link, and it's going to provide them simple things that they can do just as a resource to help invest into their marriage. There'll be parenting resources, kind of the same thing. There will be community resources, church resources, education resources. School in the Box will be incorporated into that as well. So that's going to be really exciting, but it is some collaboration. If you are like, I would love to be part of that collaboration team, please let me know. I would love to have you on that team and help us pull together resources, because, you know, most of the trouble with parents is just finding this stuff, because there's stuff out there, but then you Google it and there's 7,000 results. And you're like, okay, now what do I do? So it's just helping provide some resources that are the road approved, if you will, for that. So that is all I have for that. How are we doing on time? We're doing really horrible on time. All right, so I'm going to try and rush through some policies and procedures really quickly. Actually, before I do that, I want to tell you guys about our curriculum. So we are using what's called Orange Curriculum, and Orange Curriculum is all about the church partnering with the family. So that is the entire ideology of this curriculum. And so part of that comes with providing apps for our servant leaders and apps for our families. And so one of those apps is called Lead Small. So as small group leaders or leaders of any kind throughout the ministry, as we begin to use this curriculum, you'll be able to open your app and see, starting Monday, so as soon as this coming Monday happens, you can open the app and see what next Sunday curriculum is looking like. So you can have the entire week to prepare, and you don't have to wait on emails or anything like that. So you guys can do this as I am showing this video, but this is just going to show you generally how to download the app. So you're just going to go to your app store, same for Android or Apple. You're going to type in Lead Small, and then you are going to just click download that app. Now, you're going to notice on here, I've already downloaded the app and set it up, but it's a really super simple setup. You just sign up by putting in your full name, email, password, confirm password. And then when you push sign up, it'll actually ask you to select a church. So you can search the road at Chapel Hills and select that church, and that links it to our curriculum. And so once you do that, when you open the app, this is what you see. So it's geared towards small groups. So when you're on the home, which you see in the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to show you the Lead Small or the small group thing. Now, this has tons and tons of activities for you for opening, so as kids arrive, and for as kids go into their small groups after the lesson. But so it provides way more material than you need. But we actually have the ability to customize this. So when you open it up, you'll see exactly what Kristen wants you to see in elementary, or exactly what Brandy wants you to see in toddlers. Based on what they think is best. But when you go to this week tab on the bottom, it gives you a devotional for you as the leader. It gives you the overview of the lesson, which tells you the Bible story, the passage, and just kind of the general lesson that they're learning. And then at the bottom, you can see we can put news, and we can also send you notifications through the app, which will be a really awesome resource. So you guys can download that now if you want to, and you can see what they're learning in elementary starting now. But the other app that we are that we have access to is called Parent Queue. So you can see it there. Well, it'll show in a second. Parent Queue is for the parents. So we're going to start publicizing this to the parents as a resource for them. But just so I have it up here so you guys can know. I'd love for all of you to download it so you can be familiar with this app. But basically, it's very much the same. You see, once you set up your account, select the church, you can set up what your children are. So these are just some test children that I put in. You can see Mimi, my favorite child here, and Dallas. And I just have a child in every age group. So you have to just put in the child's age, and it automatically connects them to the curriculum. So you click on the child, and then it shows you some simple things that you can have as a parent as a resource for discipling your child. You see the memory verse, there's a video, there's the option to print the parent guide or share a parent guide. You can send it or text it to a friend. But what is gold is at the bottom right here, which is what they call the parent queue, as in queuing up a parent on what to do through the different parts of the day. So you see morning time, do this. Drive time, you can do this. Meal time, say this. Bedtime, do this. And it's a really incredible resource because it just provides the parent with the simple things so they're not having to read 5 pages of curriculum to know what to teach their child. It's just a resource. They don't have to necessarily do this religiously, but it's a resource to them. And because we'll have access to it, we can customize all of the content on the app. We can put the different info about our ministries. The phone numbers probably won't be on there, captains and co-captains, so you don't have to worry about that. That's more of a test thing. And then we can put news, and we can put links in there for people to do different things. So it's a really awesome resource. I'm very, very excited about that. So I would love for you guys to download it, play around with it, because when we launch it, parents are going to have questions about it, and I'd love for our team to be able to help them with that. All right, let's see here. All right, we got to go through policies and procedures in like 5 minutes, which is not going to happen. So I'll just take our time and see how it goes. I was hoping to break this up and that way have different people. We will have different people up here, thankfully, so you don't have to look at my face the whole time. But this is really, really important. And later on, we're going to have a training on sexual misconduct within the or prevention within the children's ministry. And that's why these policies in our manual is vitally important for us to know and be aware, because it protects us from all of that. It's basically a blanket safeguard against anything that could happen. So these are very, very important. So when you become a volunteer, there are several steps you have to go through, which is basically a vetting process to help prevent anyone who shouldn't be in the kids ministry from being in the kids ministry. So step number 1 is completing an application. That application is provided online. They have to provide 2 references, complete a background check, read and sign that they have read and understand the children's ministry manual, and have to attend an in-person or virtual interview with the children's director. During that interview, we also go through an orientation process. So it's several steps to help with that. Youth volunteers is very much the same thing, except they don't have to do that background check. All our youth volunteers have to be between the ages of 13 and 17. And for child care workers, an adult child care worker is considered 16 years old. Just so you guys can be aware of that, because we'll be going into these next things, which that will have some context. We are committed to being a safe place for children where parents can feel comfortable that they have entrusted their children to the right people. To make this happen, we need to follow these following things. Number 1 is make sure that at least 2 adults are present anytime you are working with children at the road. Absolutely never are you allowed to be with a child by yourself. This is to protect our kids as well as our servant leaders. So very important. You're never, ever alone with a child. We cannot overemphasize that. Next is never enter a bathroom with a child unless absolutely necessary. Encourage toilet independence when possible. When a young child needs assistance, an adult female servant leader may help. Ask another adult to stand in the open door to the bathroom while you assist the child. When facilitating bathroom breaks for older children, make sure at least 2 children are present. Visually check bathrooms to make sure no adults are present before allowing children to be in. Prop the doors open and remain outside the doors. Only enter if there is a serious medical emergency, and only after finding or sending for a second adult. And that's okay if it's another adult. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a child. Like, for example, if we're doing bathroom break in the foyer and Brandon Wortham is standing out there, we can ask him to be the second person standing in that doorway, which is acceptable. Only women can change diapers. And I personally love that because I don't care to do that myself. We can't apply diaper cream while babies are in our care. Make sure another adult is present in the room when changing diapers. If a toddler is protesting a diaper change and cannot be calmed down prior to the change, call a parent and she can assist with that. Safe touch is incredibly important. With good touch, a child will feel like something has been given to them, whereas with bad touch, a child will feel like their choice has been taken away. Despite the best intentions from adults, sometimes a child does not want to participate in a particular exchange and feel their choices being taken away. Always follow the child's lead. Never touch a child in an area covered by a bathing suit, that would be covered by a bathing suit. Small children often need comforting in new environments, and it is appropriate to hug, hold them as they adjust. Once a child reaches pre-K, our goal is to encourage more independence. The child may sit on a female servant leader's lap for a few moments, but they need to transition to independence within 5 minutes. Children who are kindergarten age or older may not sit on any servant leader's laps or be picked up by a volunteer. So that excludes, piggyback rides. There's so many things that we do just as fun within kids ministry. We have to be so careful about how we're touching. And, there's sometimes in even elementary that I've had kids who are really, really touchy or clingy, and they want to lay against me, or they want to lay in my lap, or they want to lay up, or just like sit right up against me. And it's like, hey buddy, I love you, but you have to sit, there has to be some distance there. What we expect from you: come with a heart ready to love on kids and teach them about Jesus. That includes being prepared before you get in the classroom. If you're teaching or leading, or even if you're not, just having an idea of what the curriculum is, of what your responsibilities are, is so very important. And with the app, it's going to be easier than ever to be prepared before you come into the classroom. Please make sure you are in the Servant Leader Hub 30 minutes before service. Guys, this is a time that is so precious to us, that I personally love and enjoy, just the chance to pray over our kids, to pray over our servant leaders and families. So please be prepared for that. And then 15 minutes, being in your classroom 15 minutes before. Our aim is to facilitate fun with the children we serve, and also to promote modesty. Please, no short shirts or low-cut tops, and no high heels for safety reasons. For both men and women, please make sure your pants are secured high enough. You will probably be bending down often with children. You will want to wear clothes that facilitate your playing and engaging with them. Accidents happen, so making sure that we're filling out the ouch report, which is more of a minor incident. If it's not going to be necessarily a bumper or bruise, that's something like 2 kids collide and they were crying, so we want to inform parents about it. But an incident report is something a little bit more serious, and in those cases we want that to be filled out and a copy going to the leader of your room also, who will pass it on to me. That way we know what's taking place in the classroom, and it also just informs the parent. So filling out those are so important. As a servant leader within the children's ministry, you are a mandatory reporter. If a child discloses to you that they are being abused, it is your responsibility to report it. Should this arise, or should you witness an abuse situation while serving, report it directly to the children's director for further instructions. And in the manual, there's also the El Paso County hotline for sexual and neglect abuse. But that is so very important. Don't talk about it to another servant leader in the room. Don't talk about it to even your room captain. Report it directly to me. Anyone who's going through the process of becoming a new volunteer has my phone number, but if anyone else does not, please let me know. I'd love to get that to you. So that's very, very important. Check-in is also so very important. We want to make sure that every single child gets back to the person that's dropped them off. Check-in and check-out is very important to the children's ministry. During check-in, make sure that the child has a name tag and the parent has a security tag. So during check-in, making sure they have it, because you're just shooting yourself in the foot when they come to pick up their child and you're like, oh, you don't have a sticker. Well, I didn't have one when I came. During checkout, the parents must turn in the security tag before picking up their child. If a security tag cannot be found, ask the parent to present their ID and check that name is on the roster. Another way to do that is all of our captains and co-captains now have access to our database app, where they can search the child's name and they can see who the listed parents are. And then you just ask the parent, what is your name? And make sure that the name matches what's on the roster. Before serving food, a note on that, check-in and check-out. In that category, who is allowed in the classroom? Only people who have been through the entire process of becoming a servant leader. That's very important. If you're serving and your husband has not been through the process, your husband is not allowed in the classroom. If your husband or whatever, if another parent wants to come in, no one is allowed into the classroom unless they are a servant leader. We do occasionally make exceptions for younger children who need to be weaned off of their parents, and we'll allow them to come in, but that parent is only allowed if they have that sticker, and we're making sure that that's the person that has dropped them off. Even in that case, it is within a certain time frame. 5-10 minutes, it's not the entire time. We don't want parents to get in a habit of just being able to come into the classroom. If they do want to come in the classroom, I just want to be in with my kid the entire time. That's totally fine. Put them through the process. So that way they've got a background check, they've had references checked, they've filled out an application, and all of the above. Before serving food to children, follow the following procedure. Ask the parents or guardians during check-in if their child can eat the food that is going to be presented, and check each child's name tag for any allergy information. If you're not familiar, usually it's a black bar across their name tag, but we just check with the parents anyway, because sometimes when parents are setting it up, they don't put that in. All right, that is all I have. Now I'm going to invite Dennis up, and he's going to talk through some emergency procedures. Dennis is our life safety coordinator or director, and in meeting with him, give it up. In meeting with him, I've just been so blessed because the life safety team really does put forth the effort to support our ministry, and that's very different from my prior experience anyway. So it's just, it's a huge blessing to have you on the team, so thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, like he says, my name is Dennis Cates, and I know most of you, but introduce myself just in case you don't know me. I'll be brief here. I do want to mention that there is an event this coming Saturday at Rocky Mountain Calvary Church that is a great training. The FBI is putting it on. I've attended this previously, and it's very worthwhile. I'll read a little ditty here, if I can get it blown up to where I can actually see it. In light of recent attacks of places of worship, the FBI, in concert with the faith-based security network, invites faith-based security officials and unarmed staff, that'd be you folks, to a 2-hour training session. The training will include the presentation of ALERT, which is Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training. The course will focus on the methods for the unarmed population to enhance their survivability in a mass attack. This training will also, provide recent trend information and case studies on attacks against places of worship. That's from 10 to noon on the 29th at Rocky Mountain Calvary. And so it'll give everybody, primarily those that are unarmed and in a position of protection of the innocent, ideas and what they can do to better survive those kind of attacks, which seem to be more prevalent throughout the nation. And we've been blessed that we haven't had anything recently here, but I don't think it's a question of if, I think it's a question of when. And that's why we have to be prepared and want the entire congregation prepared for that. So in regards to life safety, just like everything, communication is really key. So our guys are going to come down into your area early, make sure the radios are up and running. We're going to check the comms, make sure that we can communicate through radio. There will always be at least one guy down there. My intentions are to put 2 down there whenever possible. And so we do have rovers that rove down through there periodically. The communication should be brief and to the point. If you need anything, anything at all, just give us your name, your location, and what the emergency is or what your need is. Simple. We're not using any codes or color codes or anything like that, because at a time like that, we'll all forget them. So just name, location, and we're all learning and memorizing the room numbers and where everybody's at. Those radios, by the way, I think you all know we have two on what I refer to the west side, and one over in the NexGen. So get them back in the cradles, make sure that they'll be able to be charged properly and so forth. Our leads will check on those if possible, make sure that they're cradled properly so that they're ready to go for the next week. Sean Perkins will speak about first aid and CPR, but we have a trauma bag behind the check-in station. That is for trauma, not necessarily for first aid. That's for massive trauma. So we have that ability. We are going to be installing another AED over the drinking fountain or near the drinking fountain downstairs, just like we have by the drinking fountain up here for CPR and life-sustaining efforts there. So when there's an injury, remain calm, render aid, have somebody else, if necessary, call 911. Once you're on a child that's hurt, sick, whatever, or an adult for that matter, stay close there, point to somebody and take lead, and tell somebody else to be calling 911. All right, and then they can, so the individual needing the attention is getting it constantly there. Then obviously have somebody call life safety, and we'll be down and we'll start taking control from that point. We've got many of us that are CPR trained, first aid, emergency first aid. We've even got as myself, paramedics and so forth that can deal with a lot of different situations with the equipment we have. Fire evacuation. Again, remain calm. Make sure that you have an accurate head count before you leave the building, and so that you can reassess that you have everybody in the secured fenced area down below the church here, down below the parking lot. When you get there, establish a calm fire line and exit the emergency exits, and immediately take all the children down to the chain link fence, holding hands, whatever we have to do. I really thought that was a great idea for the younger kids, where you had the ropes and the chains and everything else. So we're expecting, and that's what we've trained to, we're expecting you guys to be using that and understanding how that's all going to work. Ideally, we're going to send down, in the event of a fire alarm, we're going to have one person down there already. We're going to have another person immediately get downstairs, so that we can be at the door first and go out first. We don't want a alarm to be started with evil intent. So, and wanting children and everybody to exit for the purpose of doing violence. So we will try to clear that area, make sure the area is clear before anybody starts exiting the building. That's our intentions to do. Obviously, if smoke is billowing in and there's an active fire, we've got to get kids out regardless of whether we've gone out first or not. But that's our intention. So we're going to try to step in the line of fire first and make sure everything is clear. So then we're going to have, once you get down there, just calm the children down and make sure that you sit them down and check your roster, make sure you have the head count so that we know that all of the children are out, and wait for the parents to come and pick them up before you let them go, and go through the procedures that Matt's already spoke to of that. If there's an immediate threat and we're wanting everybody locked down, we're going to holler attention, locked down. We're going to notify you on the radio. We're going to come to the offices, the classrooms, and start telling everybody to lock down. Close and lock all doors, close the curtains and the blinds if possible, move persons to the designated secured room. And do we all know where all that is? The designated rooms that we're going to be moving to. In NexGen down here, we're going to be moving to the room behind the stage and go in there and lock down. And then in the nursery rooms, we've changed that up, but I think everybody's aware that we're going to be moving into the room 113 and lock down in that area. Which is what? Yes, yes. Right. Yep. That's for everyone on that end of the hall, that end of the building. Right. No? Are we going to lock down?
No, I think you were about to. I think it's the next thing on the list.
Okay.
The preschool would just lock down in the teaching room of the preschool.
Yeah. Keep everybody away from the glass windows and turn off all the lights, and make sure everybody remains quiet. It says the life safety team will communicate with all the classrooms for further instructions. We still need to come up with a password so that once the doors are locked down, they shouldn't be open for anybody that doesn't have that password. Even the police department or anybody, if they don't have the password, we can't assume that they are not intending to do evil. So I am. I think we are. So let's go through this. The designated secure rooms. Nursery, move the children through the interior door into the toddler room in 113. So anybody on that side of the hall, nursery or in the toddlers, move to the what I call the north end of that room, and hunker down there. Toddlers into that corner of the room. Preschool, move children into the corner of the teaching room, 112. Use the interior bathroom to transport children to the correct room instead of going into the hall, right? Elementary, if in the classroom, move the children to the corner of that room. If in the NexGen general space, Main Street, move the children to behind the stage, like I've already mentioned. Missing children, if asked by life safety for assistance in locating a missing child, secure any open doors or exits. Check all rooms under your care for a missing child. And the servant leaders must stay with their class at all times. If you located a missing child, keep the child with you, notify the life safety team, and in most missing child situations, the life safety team will take the lead on that at some point. I think that's all I have there. I think our intentions, Matt, if I can say, is that we're changing some policies and procedures a little bit on our team, as I've only taken over this position about a year ago. And so the church is growing rapidly, so we're trying to keep up with those changes and the amount of people that are in here. And I'd like to enforce and establish some things that we haven't done in the past. We're having monthly training rather than annual training. We are trying to get people on board that are proficient instead of just kind of going through the motions in some cases, whether we're talking about first aid or life-sustaining methods or firearms or self-defense or extractions and so forth. So we'll be going through and getting people more proficient on that and requiring more things than what we've required in the past. We've also talked about anybody that would like to carry a firearm in the children's ministry. It's obviously okay based on our Second Amendment rights and our church's policy and everything right now. But at the same token, as we feel on life safety, that we want to test people for their efficiencies in manipulating the firearm safely and handling it safely and knowing exactly when and where and how to present a firearm if the case presents itself. So I'm throwing this invite out to anybody that wishes to do that. I really would prefer, and I think Matt would too, to come to our training sessions when we have 4 qualifications a year at the range and let us evaluate whether we think, and I can feed that information back to Matt, that you're proficient enough to be responsible enough to carry a firearm in and around the children. Agree with that, Matt? We've already talked about that. Other questions or anything I can, any questions I can answer or anything that I haven't spoke to? All right. So.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Guys, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break so you can run and grab some coffee, water, bathroom break. But let's try to be back here at 11:35. And only because we want to try and make sure we're respectful of your time and we were able to leave on time. So we're just going to kind of, it was supposed to be a 10-minute break, but we're going to rein it in so we can get through some more stuff.
Cause you're
So more tech issues. So hopefully we get it up and running in the next few minutes. Kyle, you can just play that video whenever you're ready, and we'll know that's our cue. Kyle, Sean's going to intro, and then you can play the video after that if it's ready by then. All right, if we can go ahead and find our seats, everyone, that'd be awesome. So Sean Perkins is going to be doing our basics of CPR, so make sure we're keeping our eyes peeled. He's part of the life safety team, but you're also like licensed to do this, so I'm really excited to have him here, and I'll just leave this.
All right, good morning. Still for another few minutes. So my name is Sean Perkins. To let you know real quick who I am, why I'm talking to you, I was 20 years Air Force, and then I've been a civilian and a contractor supporting the Air Force and Space Force for years after that. As a hobby, I became an EMT about 9 years ago through the Pikes Peak program here in town. Very good program if you're looking for any training. What I do now is I instruct military EMTs down at Peterson Air Force Base, and I volunteer with the county just as a volunteer EMT when things are necessary there. Used to serve with Disaster Medical Assistance Team, a federal team that would go out and do medical response wherever necessary in the country or the territories, but stepped down from that role, but I'm still under the National Disaster Medical System for the county team, hence wearing the shirt today. But what I want to give you today, first off, is to ask how many people are currently CPR certified in our group? Okay. How many are medically trained otherwise? Okay, and in what roles, if I could ask? So what's your qualification level? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Excellent. And over here? Gotcha. All right. So what we're going to go over today is not a full CPR class, but what they call now the hands-only CPR, which is actually what I want you to do unless you're higher qualified. What we have is in the life safety team that Dennis was talking about, we have each of the team leads and various other members that are qualified at the heart saver level of CPR, where they do the rescue breathing, the AED and such. The key thing that we'll emphasize in the training today is recognizing when CPR is necessary and getting chest compressions started as soon as possible. That is what will keep the brain and the organs alive and bridge the time until the rest of the folks can get on scene. The life safety team and then the fire station 19s is just around the corner here, should be here in a couple of minutes. But in that interim time, getting those compressions started is going to be absolutely critical. So, other note I'll tell you is for those that do need further CPR training, Matt, are you going to, is Matt still here? I'm sorry, is Bright. Were you going to take sign-ups for classes? Okay, gotcha. So for those that need or would like a heart saver level certification where you get a card, we will make those trainings available. I don't have dates for it, but it'll be a weeknight sometime within the next few weeks, and there'll be a sign-up sheet for that. But if you sign up, put an interest with your email on that, I'll get you information on the proposed dates for that. It's a blended learning system where you do most of the didactic portion, the studying online, and that costs you like $20 to sign up for that, $15 I think it is. But I'll send you all the info on that, and then we'll do a hands-on session to finish out the skills and get you your card. So it's about a $20, $21 investment for you, but then you get a 2-year card out of that. All right, on to the content. Oh, I'll say one more thing, and I don't make any money on that, just as a conflict of interest thing. It's just that's one of the volunteer things I do as part of the life safety team here. All right, so key thing for CPR is recognizing when it's necessary. We're going to watch a video here in a minute for walking through the hands-only portion, and they'll show this, but I just want to describe it first, and then you'll see it, and then I'll demo a scenario here with both child, they'll be represented by the adult mannequin, and infant by the infant mannequin there. But that's the essential things you'll do. Key thing is recognize when CPR is necessary. If somebody goes unresponsive in front of you, or you walk in and see them unresponsive, and you can't wake them up, and they're not breathing, they need CPR. Simple as that. And so we'll talk through how to do that, but to walk through the sequence of it. So you walk in, and you're in children's to give the scenario there, and one of your 3-year-olds collapses, and you shout their name, you tap them to get them to wake up, and they don't respond. You yell immediately for somebody to, you get an AED, and I'll show you where that is here in a minute, how to do that. You call 911 and say that we have cardiac arrest going on. After that, check the breathing. You can do this, all of this kind of together. Look at the breathing, 5 to 10 seconds. If they're not breathing, they need CPR. You're going to do, I'll show you the positions here, but you'll get in position and do 100 to 120 beats per minute. I'll show you an example of what that sounds like. And you just continue doing those compressions, a third the depth of the chest, let it fully recoil until somebody comes and relieves you. It's as simple as that. And that is the best thing we can do to, like I say, get blood to the brain and the organs and keep them alive. All right, other notes with it? Excuse me, it went to sleep. Okay. All right, if we got the video queued up, let's go ahead and take a look at that, and then I'll do a live demo here as well.
Only CPR. Cardiac emergencies can happen anywhere. Be prepared with a simple technique known as hands-only CPR. You can learn it in minutes, it's easy to remember, and it can help save a life. You will need the willingness to act and a few simple skills. Whenever possible, use disposable gloves when providing emergency care. Step 1. If you see someone suddenly collapse, check the scene for safety and then see if the person responds to you by tapping them on the shoulder and shouting, "Are you okay?" Step 2. Briefly look for breathing. Step 3. If they don't respond, call or send someone to call 911 or the local emergency number right away. Step 4. If the person is not breathing or is gasping, prepare to give chest compressions. Kneel beside them and put the heel of one hand on the center of their chest. Place your other hand over that hand, lacing your fingers together. Position your shoulders directly over your hands, keeping your arms straight and your fingers off the chest. Step 5. Push hard and fast, at least 2 inches, then let the chest rise completely before pressing down again. Don't take your hands off the chest, just your weight. Step 6. Keep going. Do not stop compressions until the person shows an obvious sign of life like breathing. The scene becomes unsafe. An automated external defibrillator or AED is ready, you're too exhausted to continue, or a trained responder takes over. Step 7. Get training and encourage others to do so by taking an American Red Cross health and safety course. Knowing full CPR, chest compressions, and breaths will enable you to help in other emergencies such as drowning and choking. Every household should have at least one person trained in life-saving skills. Did you know? Most people who survive a cardiac emergency are helped by a bystander. To find your local Red Cross chapter, visit redcross.org.
Thank you. One thing I'd add to that is when you direct it, as I showed you there, when you direct somebody to call 911, you direct somebody else, if there's another person, to go get the AED. To just verbalize it, it is sitting right here by the water fountain. Up here on this level, there will be one by the water fountain downstairs. We'll let you know when that one gets installed. But there's a sign that says AED right back there by our water bottle filling station in the back there. Simply open the cabinet, pull it out, and take it down there. So, questions on those techniques? I'll show it one more time here, and then we'll get into the children. So this would be for your like an adult, but the techniques are the same for an adult. So it's as simple as that way. Thank you. If you are in the room there you see one of the children just collapse, then the steps are to check responses. Hey, hey, are you all right? So simultaneously, I'm yelling at them to just wake them up by the noise, tapping them vigorously on that. We'll talk about a difference with the infant. But then I check. If there's no response, then as I'm waiting for the response, I'm looking for breathing also. 5 to 10 seconds, no longer than that. I see there's no breathing, I'm going to start chest compressions. And I say, there's other people in the room, if there will be. You go get the AED. Lock eyes with an individual. Just don't yell just, hey, somebody get the AED, somebody call 911. Make direct contact with individuals and direct them to do those 2 tasks, and then they will know to go do those. So I've got the recognition. I now know that they are not breathing, and I've sent somebody.
Just for the recording.
Oh, gotcha. That's okay. And where was I? Recognitions happen. See, I've checked breathing. They're not breathing. We've got the EMS energized, the life safety team coming. Actually, I didn't say it before. As part of the 911 call, also find your life safety rep and get the life safety team down there so they can be helping out with the compressions and the rest of the gear and such as well. Compressions, 100 to 120 beats per minute and a third the depth of the chest. You want to go down on both knees, shoulders directly above the middle of the chest. You're going to put the meaty part of your hand on the lower part of the sternum. Interlock your other fingers and then use the entire upper body as a weight to push directly down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. With Heart Saver, 30 is when we do the breaths. You're just going to keep going. So that's the key with hands only, is just continue to do the compressions. When you get tired and there's somebody else there with you, talk to them and say, hey, I'm getting tired, swap with me, do what I've been doing here, and then coach them through if necessary to make sure that they're doing the right depth and rate. Within seconds, there should be other people coming with higher levels of training to help you out. Those in the room that are already higher level of training, get involved as quickly as you can. Questions on the child and adult hands-only CPR? Okay, let's move to children. Excuse me, I keep saying that. To infants, okay, for those that are going to be working with the infants as well, there's really only one difference for these and some slight nuances, and that is the way you're going to do the chest compressions. So, but a few other tiny little things, if you can hold that. So say, again, you're holding an infant, and they just go limp in your arms. Would be one thing that can happen. We'll talk through choking here in a minute, and that's actually the main reason that children would go into cardiac arrest in our context here. But we'll talk through that separately after the CPR. But so the child goes limp, same thing that I'm going to do as I did with the child. Baby, baby. Here's the difference. Tap on the bottom of the foot is the most effective way to arouse them up. But baby, baby, wake up, wake up. Use their name if you know it. Again, if they're unresponsive, as I check for the breathing, 5 to 10 seconds. If there's no breathing, it's time for CPR. You go get the AD, call 911, get life safety up here. Here's a difference. Put them on a hard surface. And then chest compressions, you can do 2 different ways now. One is, I like my middle 2 fingers because they're closer to the same length than my first and second. But 2 fingers, whichever you like. Lower part of the sternum again, just same as with the child. And I'm going to go straight down a third the depth of the chest and just continue doing the compressions, 100, 120 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And again, just continue doing that. So that's all there is to hands-only CPR. Questions on the infant? And one other way you can do it, if that makes you tired, is thumbs encircling. Put your hands around them. You could even be holding them to do this, or put them down, thumbs in the lower part of the sternum, and just do the compressions with your thumbs. 100, 120 beats per minute. And just, like I say, continue doing that until other folks come and relieve you. And again, work out a plan if you've got other adults there to do a swap off so we can continue those high-quality compressions. Questions on that? Okay, let's talk about choke. Go ahead. If there's a servant leader available, have them do it, because that will reduce the amount of time it takes to get it there. But make sure that they are getting life safety to come back with them, so we know we have somebody trained on the AED once it gets back there. Good question, though. Yes? Floor's okay. Table, you can do it on the floor, you can do it on a table, whatever, but the key is if you're going to be pressing down on the chest, they need to be on a hard surface as opposed to like a mattress, like a changing table with a mattress on it. You don't want to do that, because then you're just compressing the mattress instead of the chest. Okay. All right, choking. Go ahead. Well, we're at this level for just familiarization. Hands only is the technique. They've determined that it's better to just get the compressions going, and that lowers the barriers to participation by just keeping it at that level. The folks that are heart saver or higher level CPR certified will come in and do the breathing. And the point is just to get the heart pumping, right? Correct. Right. Enough just goes in passively for the initial part of CPR. All right. Now, to pull on the thread I said a minute ago of why CPR is going to be necessary, choking is the number one reason why children and infants will go into cardiac arrest. Okay, and with all the little toys, we try to sanitize so there aren't choking-sized things, but you never know what's going to happen. Eating, all that, if their airways occluded, it's going to go to cardiac arrest. But with just the choking, let's talk through that real quick. And I'm going to come back down here now. Thank you. I think I can do the rest here with that. All right, so for choking, the first thing about choking is if they are coughing and making noise, so you're seeing that they're having trouble with it, but they're still able to make noise, that's good. Let them resolve it, but watch them closely. It's when they can't make noise anymore that you need to do something, okay? And with the Red Cross standard, it's actually the same now. If you've been in various types of training between American Heart Association and Red Cross, there have been somewhat different standards for what to do. I like the Red Cross method, which makes it the same for everybody, whether it's an infant or an adult. And the actions there, we'll use the infant and just talk through the child. But so you've got an infant, again, they're eating something in your arms, and they start coughing, and you say, ooh, what's going on? And you just monitor as they continue to make noise and cough, but then you see they stop coughing, and they start turning blue. So again, get help, you can do it immediately, say those same things. Call 911, get the AED, and then assuming that, you're looking forward to if CPR is going to be necessary. But your next actions are to do 5 back blows, and then 5, in the case of an infant, it'll be chest compressions. In the case of a child, it'll be abdominal thrusts. I'll demonstrate both of those. So for the back blows, and actually, Dennis, I was wrong. If you could come up one more. Okay, all right. So for the infants, what you're going to do is clamshell the baby so that you can control the head angle. There should be the head from flopping around. So you're going to put your hands on each side. You want a downward angle of the baby so that whatever they're choking on will come out, and then you're going to do 5 hard back blows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with a downward vector on that, and you hit the back. Clamshell, turn them over, and then that same technique for CPR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Monitoring to see when that comes up and when they start making noise again. You stop when that happens, and then just make sure that they continue to breathe. If they don't, you're going to continue alternating the 5 back blows, hard like you mean it, 5, and then 5 chest compressions. Key things on that are doing that vigorously and then controlling the head as you go back and forth on that. The good aspect or a good result is when the food comes out and they're able to breathe. If it doesn't, they will go unresponsive. And they're not breathing, so what's it time for? CPR. So you simply do the same things that we talked about with getting them into chest compressions. Hopefully you already notified folks to bring the AED and call 911 and get life safety in there. For children and adults, the only difference to that, since you're here, I will use you. Please. So same idea. You're going to do for both adults, children, and infants now, for all of them, you're going to do back blows, and now in this case, instead of chest compressions, abdominal thrusts. To talk through those, back blows are simple. You simply bend the person over, and do those back blows. Get their head down as low as possible, and then stand them up, and you're going to take your fist with your thumb just above the navel, and then you're going to put, and actually I'll demo here, and then you're going to put your other hand around and then do the abdominal compressions. So to demo both of them, so let's go through the whole thing. Pretend you're choking. What are you going to do? Universal sign of choking, okay? Everybody will do this. And if you want, you can say, may I help you? Nobody is going to refuse you at this point. But an important point for this, if it's a child and a parent is not present and there's a life-threatening situation, that is implied consent. You don't have to go any further than that. And you're covered by Good Samaritan laws. Should have started with that comment. Anything we do here, if you're now trained in hands-only CPR, and anything you do this, you are covered by Colorado state law under the Good Samaritan laws to not be sued for trying to help somebody. So again, they don't want people to be afraid to help. So for choking, so he's choking. I say, can you breathe? Are you okay? May I help you? Okay, and so we do the back blows. I'm going to hit your back to get that foot out. Bend over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hard. Stand him up. Okay. Whichever hand you like, just above the navel. Encircle the other hand. Inward and up. Hard. Okay? Do 5 of those, and again, you just alternate those until that hot dog or whatever shoots across the room, hopefully, or they go unresponsive. You lower them down to the ground gently and start CPR. The quick battle story on this one is that my son Ethan, thank you, who is was an ER nurse for about 10 years up in Denver after being a paramedic, before all that was on a mission trip to Uganda, choked on a piece of grizzly goat meat, and it completely occluded his airway. Dale Nuss, who is a member of law enforcement here in Colorado Springs, was on the trip. He saw what was going on. He did the chest compressions. It wasn't working. Dale's a huge guy. He did one last one as Ethan was starting to go unresponsive and moved that just enough to allow him to breathe. And then long story after that, they were able to get the meat out after about 3 hours of working on him and such, and he's okay now, but it saved his life. So these are good techniques, both the hands-only CPR and the back blows, abdominal thrusts, or chest compressions for resolving choking. Questions on this? All right. I think we're... Actually, come on up. All right. One other thing for other life threats. Okay, a good important point was the green bags that we have for trauma kits are for life threats. It's for life-threatening bleeding is what those kits are for. We do have first aid kits. So in each of the classrooms and in the welcome area downstairs where the check-ins happen, behind that desk there's both a trauma kit that's green and a blue metal first aid kit for Band-Aids and things like that. So if there were, but just to walk through this, besides cardiac arrest and choking, if something happens, where there's an accident or some violent act, you're looking for life threats. And the things to emphasize on that are arterial bleeding. If somebody just has a cut and it's just a little bit of blood, very dark, whatever, that's not something you worry about for ending their life, for being a life threat. When it is bright red blood spurting, that's an artery, and that needs immediate attention. And that's the same things as for needing CPR. You would have somebody call 911, have somebody get the trauma kit, and notify life safety. And then the life safety team is all trained, except for a couple of new members, on use of this gear. It has tourniquets, it has emergency bandages, it has chest seals, all that good gear for those that have been trained on it as well. That's what's in there for your use. Has hemostatic gauze as well. So that's available for those that are trained to use that. If you're not trained, get a life safety team member and get life safety involved in any case. But bright red spurting blood is what you're looking for in that, and that needs immediate attention. Get 911 going and get the life safety involved. Questions on that? The kit upstairs is just behind where they do the sign-ins at the visitor desk. The one downstairs is at the sign-ins behind the computers there. So. And again, AEDs upstairs here, and one will be downstairs by the water fountains. Any other questions? Sign-up sheet will be out later. If you're interested in, like, say, getting the 2-year card at the Heart Saver level, sign up on that, and we'll get things coordinated. Other things? All right.
Thank you so much. Guys, doesn't this make you feel so much better, like working in the kids ministry, that we have like an incredible life safety team of trained professionals. And thank you, Sean, for being willing to come in here and train us. We really, really appreciate it. So the last element before we break into our small groups is going to be sexual misconduct prevention training. And it takes about 30 minutes. It's a video that we'll watch. I'd like to intro us in prayer because some of the things that we will be seeing is just some you're not seeing any scenarios or anything like that, but it's just talking through things to be aware of and to look for. And some of it can just feel very dark. So I'm going to open in prayer. Feel free to pull out. You're not going to be tested on it. That'll be part of the intro. It'll say that you will have to receive 70%. This is just a resource that we are utilizing. You're not going to be tested on it. But, if you want to take notes, I invite you to do that. But, Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this training so far. I pray you would bless us as we go into this next phase, Lord God, that you would remind us of your goodness and grace, Lord God, and help us just to use this information to be a resource to us to prevent anything from ever happening, Lord God, that this would be a sacred house where no evil is able to infiltrate. And we thank you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Child safety course.
Hey, Kyle, can we pause that real quick?
No organization.
Listen, I didn't give you, if you're interested in that FBI class or whatever, email me at theroadlifesafety@gmail.com, and then I'll send your information there. They're vetting everybody that comes into that a little bit. So that's one thing. Tomorrow you may find, if you park down the south or the lower parking lot, you may find cones or something blocking that way. Still, feel free, because you're not visitors, to remove the cones. Go ahead, park in there, but replace the cones, because we're going to try to stop visitors from parking in there tomorrow. And the other thing is our monthly training is this coming Thursday here at the church, 7 to 9. We are going to be training on Stop the Bleed, using those trauma kits and some other things, some hands-on stuff. But if you're more than welcome to come for that Stop the Bleed portion of that training if you'd like. Yeah, we normally meet in the chapel area for that training. We work for a living, so PM. But good question.
Text me that info. I'll email everybody that info who's here.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Wants to see sexual abuse of children take place under their care. When it happens, it causes great harm to the victims and the organization. Often, it's recognized and publicized and receives attention from legislation at both the state and federal levels. Public declarations of abuse by adult survivors, including celebrities and sports figures, increase the media coverage. We, as a society, are awakening to the damage done to the victims when organizations unwittingly permit the child sexual abuse to occur. A report of child sexual abuse perpetrated by a trusted member of your program can result in legal action against the perpetrator, supervisors, and leaders of the organization. And in the worst cases, the program could be forced to close altogether. This training is designed to help you recognize the signs of abuse, as well as the characteristics of perpetrators. Our primary motivation is always to protect our children from immediate harm and a lifetime of anguish. By discussing and learning about child sexual abuse, you are taking a proactive stance in keeping children safe. Our child safety course consists of 5 lessons covering the following topics. Lesson 1, defining child sexual abuse. Lesson 2, victim behavioral characteristics. Lesson 3, characteristics of child molesters. Lesson 4, making a difference. And Lesson 5, responsibility and reporting. At the end of the training, a quiz will be presented to measure your understanding of this material. A minimum score of 70% is required, but we encourage you to learn as much as possible. If for any reason your training is interrupted, you can click the link to begin again and forward through the lessons to where you left off. Some browsers will even bookmark your session, taking you back to the beginning of the lesson where interrupted. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Defining child sexual abuse. According to the National Sexual Violence Research Center, child sexual abuse definitions vary across disciplines, social systems, research efforts, and laws. There are many forms of child sexual abuse, including but not limited to rape, fondling, sexual assault, exposure, voyeurism, and the commercial sexual exploitation of children. Sometimes child sexual abuse is considered a type of child maltreatment, which also includes physical and psychological abuse, as well as forms of neglect. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention identified 2 general categories of sexual abuse. Number 1, physical contact, a sexual act or contact. Number 2, non-contact, exploitation of sexual interaction. Physical contact can include any contact or touching a child's private parts for sexual purposes, making a child touch someone else's genitals or play sexual games, or the contact of objects or body parts with a child in a sexual manner. Non-contact sexual abuse can include showing pornographic pictures, books, or movies to a child, deliberately exposing oneself to a child, photographing or videotaping a child in sexual poses, encouraging a child to watch or hear sexual acts, and inappropriately watching a child undress or use the bathroom. While this training deals primarily with child sexual abuse, it is important to know that there are forms of child abuse other than physical and non-contact sexual abuse. Let's briefly look at non-sexual abuse or neglect. Child abuse is any intentional act by an adult or by another child that harms or threatens to harm a child's physical, mental, or emotional health. Abuse by another child can be an older or stronger individual who exerts his or her position of power. Neglect is another form of abuse that occurs when a caregiver fails to provide basic needs like food, water, supervision, medical care, clothing, housing, or educational needs. Emotional abuse can occur when words or actions are used that cause extreme emotional pain, often with no visible injury. Now let's review some facts about child sexual abuse to help gain a better idea of the reality of this serious situation. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, there were over 678,000 victims of child abuse and neglect, and over 47,000 unique cases of sexual abuse. 1,770 children died from their abuse. Roughly 90% of child abuse cases involve someone they know or trust. Juveniles who commit sex offenses against other children are more likely than adult sex offenders to offend in groups and at schools, and to have more male victims and younger victims. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported that 1 out of every 417 persons in the U.S. is on the sex offender registry. 42.2% of girls that experience their first completed rape do so before the age of 18. Of that, 29.9% are between 11 and 17 years old, and 12.3% are at or before the age of 10. 1 in 7 girls and 1 in 25 boys will be sexually assaulted by the time they reach age 18. Sexual abuse occurs in all racial, ethnic, or socioeconomic classes and is no respecter of any religious denomination or creed. While these statistics are based on in-depth studies by credible sources, it's difficult to get a 100% accurate view of the true numbers. The public is often not fully aware of the magnitude of the problem because only 38% of child victims disclose that they've been sexually abused. Lesson 2, Victim Behavioral Characteristics. Learning the behavioral characteristics of young victims is important in recognizing some of the warning signs and symptoms of child sexual abuse. Child sexual abuse can take place within a family, by a parent, step-parent, sibling, or other relative, or outside the home, for example, by a friend, neighbor, or child care person. The vast majority of people who work with children do so entirely for noble reasons. But in our training, be aware that the traits that may seem admirable to the community may also hide darker intentions. Our goal is to be able to recognize the difference. Profile of potential victims. This list of risk factor traits is not meant to be all-inclusive, but is given as a list of examples that abusers often look for in victims. Most victims are under 14 years of age. These children may be very friendly or shy and may exhibit isolation. Many come from single-parent or broken homes. Parents may have alcohol and/or drug dependency or mental illness. Parents may be emotionally unavailable, causing that child to seek guidance from other adults. Parents may be physically absent due to work or divorce. There may be a stepfather or mother's boyfriend living at home. There may be pornography in the home or an excessive permissiveness, along with inadequate parental supervision. Physical signs or behaviors. Physical signs or behaviors may indicate a child is being sexually abused. Of course, some signs may be more obvious than others. All such physical signs should be investigated immediately. A child with torn, stained, or bloody underclothing. A child contracting a sexually transmitted disease or experiencing pain, swelling, bleeding, discharge, or itching in the genital area. Pregnancy is a physical sign of sexual abuse in a female child. Frequent or unexplained sore throats, stomach aches, headaches, or urinary tract infections. Other signs are more subtle and difficult to recognize. Regressive behaviors that are not age appropriate, such as thumb sucking, bedwetting, or fear of the dark, can be a sign of sexual abuse. Also, certain behaviors can be warning signs of mental distress caused by sexual abuse of a child. A disclosure of abuse by a victim is the most obvious sign of distress, and only rarely are abuse disclosures by children not true. Here are some other indications that a child may have been sexually abused. A child who avoids undressing or wears extra layers of clothing. Not wanting to be left alone with previously trusted caregivers. Exhibiting an unusual change in bathing or grooming practices. A sudden drop in grades or lack of interest in school activities they were previously interested in. Exhibiting adult-like sexual behavior and knowledge. Role-playing sexual activities with toys or other children. Considering their body or self as dirty or repulsive. Using new words for private body parts or drawing sexually related images. Having no desire to spend time with an adult or older peer who was previously known and well-liked. Having nightmares, night terrors, exhibiting unusual aggression or an inability to control bowels. Refusing to talk about secrets. Sudden mood swings and a drastic change in eating habits. And talking about a new adult friend and receiving frequent gifts from them. Child caregivers should be on the alert for signs of child abuse. While one sign of abuse may actually be innocent and signify another challenging life event such as the death of a family member or pet, or parents going through a divorce, multiple or severe signs should always be investigated. Discussing these warning signs with your supervisor is the indicated first step where there are multiple or severe signs of physical or mental distress. Effects on the victim. It is important to understand just how much of an impact sexual abuse has on a child. The effects of child sexual abuse will be both short and long term. Childhood victims withdraw and may become morose in the short term. Later in life, victims can become plagued by mental distress that can become quite severe. Abusing a child sexually is not just a physical violation. It is a violation of their trust. Effects on the victims as a child may include the following. Prolonged sexual abuse usually causes the child to develop low self-esteem and an abnormal or distorted view of sex. The child may become distrustful of adults and can become suicidal. Children who are sexually abused have an increased risk of depression, suicide, and drug problems. Abused children are 53% more likely to be arrested as juveniles and 38% more likely to be arrested for a violent crime. and by the time victims reach grade school, they are more prone to be easily distracted, lacking in self-control, and not well liked by peers. Some of the effects that may not be apparent until the child matures to adulthood include lasting impacts on mental stability and the ability to have healthy and happy relationships with family and members of the opposite sex. Some children may convince themselves it did not happen or regress the memory completely. Unfortunately, it is possible the victim will never fully realize throughout life that they have been victimized when young, leading to an unhealthy mental state. Many adults who were childhood victims are reluctant to seek treatment for their earlier sexual abuse. In the most severe circumstances, an abuse victim may become an abuser themselves. This type of victim has rationalized the normalcy of the abuse they have suffered and may see nothing wrong in the behavior in sexually abusing others. What about the victim's family? It is not uncommon for family members to experience rage, helplessness, or depression. They may express a desire to seek revenge. They are often very vocal about how sex offenders should be treated by the legal system. In some cases, their view of crime and suitable punishment is forever altered. Spouses may unfairly begin to blame one another, perhaps because they are unable to direct their feelings to the real guilty party. Some adult family members may experience outright denial, refusing to admit that one of their children could have been so easily victimized. Lesson 3. Characteristics of child molesters. First of all, realize that molesters' motivations are never innocent. Children develop bonds and trust with strangers much more quickly than parents may be aware. Recognizing the behaviors of potential perpetrators will help you to take action in preventing child sexual abuse in your program. Classes of child molesters. A child molester may be classified into one or more of 3 subgroups. Subgroup 1, pedophiles. The first group comprises pedophiles. A pedophile is attracted to children sexually and receives gratification by their actions. They often seduce children with attention and gifts, a pattern called grooming. Subgroup 2, sexual aggressors. A second group contains sexual aggressors who desire to exercise power over the victim for some deep-seated psychological reasons. While this group is a minority, they are particularly dangerous because they are literally child rapists whose violence can make the damage to the victim more lasting or perhaps even fatal. Subgroup 3, profiteers. The third group is people who profit from child pornography or child prostitution. While this group may also include members of the above, the primary motivation is financial. It is important to realize that there are a significant number of offenders that do not fit any one simple profile. How do predators choose their victims? A preferential offender generally has an age, sex, or body type of choice. They will choose recreational activities and work situations which place them near children within that age or sex of preference. Many child molesters are very sensitive to the needs and desires of children. They may tend to choose children who feel different or set apart, such as children who are shy, loners, from single-parent homes, or needy. Once a molester singles out a child as a potential victim, they will spend extra time and attention with that child, exploring boundaries and gaining the child's trust. This behavior is called grooming. What are grooming behaviors? Grooming is the process by which molesters often seduce children with attention and gifts. In the beginning, the molester will groom the child they intend to victimize, showing special favor, friendship, buying gifts, and even love. Later, the molester will use this friendship or relationship against the child to push sexual boundaries, desensitizing the child to sexual objects and touching. Even if this behavior seems innocent, or at least not directly indicative of guilt, the molester is preparing the child for sexual behavior. More grooming behavior sexual predators engage in include the following. The predator may participate in kid activities and try to volunteer for unsupervised activities with one or more children. Many times, the abuser is well liked and may work hard to win the trust of the child's gatekeepers, such as parents, ministers, and coaches. Many times, the predator buys gifts for their victim, such as toys or video games, or perhaps forbidden items like liquor, beer, cigarettes, or inappropriate pictures or videos. The predator may engage in electronic communication with their victim, continuing the pattern of desensitizing them to their sexual aggression. During nap time or when babysitting, the perpetrator may fall asleep with the child or even go to sleep in the child's bed. They will excuse this behavior as comforting the child when upset. When they believe they are not being supervised, they may exhibit inappropriate behavior with children. To avoid supervision, they might try to take the child to a remote area or otherwise look for opportunities to be alone with the child. In playtime or sporting events, the abuser may engage in inappropriate roughhousing, butt slapping, or touching, and then treat it as a game or normal part of sport activities, which are never acceptable behaviors. A molester's reasons for grooming a child are never innocent. Any one of the behaviors we have been discussing alone may not indicate that a child is being groomed for sexual abuse, but some of these behaviors are inappropriate and should never occur. When one or more of these behaviors are seen, a problem may exist. Common characteristics and behaviors of male molesters. Almost 95% of convicted sexual offenders are male. According to studies from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, convicted male offenders have some common characteristics. A male molester needs power and control over his environment and people. A male molester may also move his residence more frequently than most people. He may seem overqualified for the job or be willing to accept less than what his education and experience would warrant. He may be willing to take the job as a voluntary position with no pay at all to gain access to children. He may choose hobbies or activities that are appealing to children or allow him to be in the presence of children. Many molesters are interested in photography or videotaping, and they may play on the child's vanity to take pictures or videos of an increasingly sexual nature. He is not usually a team player and may seem to be an outcast or a rebel. He may be easily frustrated and moved to outbursts of anger. Common characteristics and behaviors of female molesters. Now let's turn to the common characteristics of female child sexual abusers. At least 5% of the perpetrators are known to be women. These female abusers prey on both male and female victims. A female sexual offender may be unemployed or underemployed. She may have had marginal or poor performance in school. Female sexual predators may have been raised in a strict home with little attention or tenderness from her father. Or it could have been a very religious home with a hypercritical or abusive father. In extreme cases, she may have been sexually abused as a child herself. She will lie to other adults to avoid conflict and may appear socially isolated or a loner. She is more likely to seduce than to coerce her victims, especially boys. The female offender may also blame the child or claim that the child initiated the sexual behavior. Be on the lookout for unusual or unnecessary electronic communications between the female offender and her victims. Since many of her prey may be adolescent boys, she will look to impress them with her gadgets and technology. Lesson 4. Make a difference. The first step in any program's efforts to prevent child sexual abuse is to form a planning committee. They will be responsible for creating the organization's policies and procedures, so be sure you have familiarized yourself with them. Be aware that your organization will likely want to follow best practices in screening volunteers. No one should be excused from screening, even long-serving volunteers or those seen as valuable assets in the community. Such screening procedures could include any and all of the following: a written application and interview, a comprehensive background check, checking your references, and checking your online social media profile. Warn children. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, children should be warned. In their publication, Preventing Child Sexual Abuse Within Youth Serving Organizations, Getting Started on Policies and Procedures, They spell out that children should be informed about child sexual abuse, including what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior. The information they provide is mainly about self-protection. It also specifies children should be encouraged to report an incident or sexual abuse and how they should do so within the organization. It is important not to rely on merely warning children about stranger danger. Avoid false allegations. Set limits in your physical and relational interactions. It is your responsibility to keep your boundaries very clear by avoiding discussions about details of your personal life. Always avoid inappropriate or sexual word choices, unobserved one-on-one interactions, and keep children and students away from your personal space at home. Never invite children under your care into your bedroom or bed, at home or away on sponsored activities. Although it may seem innocent or even hip, do not engage in electronic communications with the youth or students with whom you work. Any report of such contact on your part can be misrepresented regardless of your intent or the content of the messages, and even messages that don't involve direct sexual contact are prosecutable. Avoid unmonitored or unsupervised situations. No one in the organization should be exempt from observation and supervision. This includes long-term trusted staff. The best way to prevent child sexual abuse is to make certain there is never an opportunity for it to occur. If your responsibilities require time alone with a child, stay in the areas designated for the specific activity, leave doors open whenever possible, and stay in plain sight of other personnel or volunteers. Avoid opportunities for youth and adult staff to be nude and in proximity, such as after activity showers or after swimming. Watch for inappropriate physical contact or grooming behaviors. Acceptable forms of physical contact include hugs from the sides, high fives, or pats on the upper back. With smaller children, holding a hand is usually appropriate, especially in the context of keeping contact with the child to prevent an unsafe action. Inappropriate roughhousing, butt slapping, or touching is never acceptable. Physical discipline or corporal punishment is also never appropriate. Be on the lookout for any cases where a child seems to be the mystery recipient of gifts or cash with an unexplained source or any other similar grooming type behaviors by an adult or other youth member. Lesson 5, reporting. Over time, legislation has become more and more restrictive in the area of responsibility and reporting. The Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act requires each state to have provisions or procedures for requiring certain individuals to report known or suspected instances of child abuse and neglect. Almost all jurisdictions require child caregivers to report suspicion or incidents of child sexual abuse. In approximately 18 states, any person who suspects child abuse or neglect is required to report. You cannot simply rely on children to report the abuse. Estimates show that fewer than 15% of all confirmed cases of child sexual abuse are ever reported. Why is the number of reported cases so low? Children are often afraid to report sexual abuse out of fear they will not be believed, or even that they will be blamed for what happened. Often, the victim loves and protects the perpetrator. Some children feel special about the abuse. They may feel they are somewhat at fault or that people will believe they are at fault. Victims will also sometimes exhibit Stockholm Syndrome, where they sympathize with their abuser. They may believe the perpetrator when he or she claims it was only one incident and will never happen again. Witnesses may not trust their own instincts or falsely believe that no real harm was done. Children rarely report they are being abused. In some cases, the child may have participated in other activities they wish to keep secret, such as drinking alcohol, smoking, or other types of adult behavior. The perpetrator may also have played on the victim's fears and feelings of guilt and convinced the child they should not tell anyone. Even more disturbing, the perpetrator may try to convince the child his or her own arousal is evidence the child enjoyed it and should not report it because they will be blamed for such feelings. It is important for caregivers to always keep in mind that human bodies of any age will respond to sexual touch in predictable ways. A physiological response in a child's body is never the fault of the child. Know your organization's policies. Guidelines about interactions between individuals should spell out clearly what will not be tolerated. Be sure you understand the behaviors that have been outlined to be appropriate, inappropriate, and potentially harmful to youth. Always act on infractions of your organization's policies. The committee charged with defining policies and procedures should spell out that it is not the role of anyone within the organization to evaluate or investigate an allegation or suspicion of child sexual abuse. This is the appropriate role for child advocacy groups, child protective services, and law enforcement as defined by state law. Do not make exceptions based on a perception the intent was not harmful. It should be explicitly stated that at a minimum, the head of your organization is professionally and legally accountable for ensuring that all cases of abuse are reported to the proper authorities. What to do if you suspect abuse? While it is not advised to conduct your own investigation, depending upon circumstances, it may be appropriate to ask a few clarifying questions of the youth or the person making the allegation. This may prevent making a report when none is required. Report to the authorities anytime there is a reasonable suspicion of child abuse or neglect. This includes abuse by another volunteer or employee, a youth in the organization, or even someone outside the organization. Records of child sexual abuse should be kept indefinitely. You should be aware that any direct interference in the evaluation or investigation could actually harm the youth or the legal investigation, jeopardizing the strength of a potential case. Do not rely solely on waiting for children to come forward and report inappropriate sexual contact from adults. The pressure on the child to keep the secret may be immense. Be sensitive to the fact that the exposure of the abuse may be almost as traumatic to the child as the abuse itself. Never promise to keep it a secret when a child reports sexual abuse to you. In most states, any adult who becomes aware that a child may have suffered abuse is required by law to report the abuse to law enforcement officials. If you suspect that a child is being abused, tell your supervisor. Your supervisor can either escalate the incident, perform further investigation, or ask that it be done, and call and report the abuse to your state agency. If necessary, you can always call the National Child Abuse Hotline yourself at 1-800-422-4453. Even if you are not certain child sexual abuse occurred, you may call without fear of repercussions when the report is made in good faith. Another thing to keep in mind, if your youth program involves travel with children to another state, you should learn what the reporting requirements are for the state where the group will be visiting. The laws of the state where the incident of abuse occurs will apply. Conclusion. As we have learned in preventing child sexual abuse training, you play a very important role in ensuring that the children under your supervision and within the program are protected. You and your organization can make a very real and positive difference in the lives of the children who participate. You are now ready to begin your quiz. Answer all questions to the best of your ability. Feel free to review the training content and take notes, if necessary, to help you retain this vital information. If you do not achieve the minimum score, your organization may require you to retake the exam until you pass. After you successfully pass the exam, you will be given the option to download and save or print your certificate of completion. A copy of your score and certificate will also...
She had like 30 seconds, but what a sobering video, right? And, you know, we as a children's ministry can take this information and use it for our benefit to safeguard against all of those things. And I hope that having that information, it gives you things to look for in children and also in people that we interact with. And that way we can prevent, as a team, we can prevent things from ever happening. So at this point, we're going to, does anyone have any questions about that? This might be a good time to ask or have questions. Yes. Yeah, within the building, the procedure is to report it directly to me. And then I will take the initiative in doing the investigative work and then communicating it to the authorities. The reason that that number is in the manual, and obviously you can always feel the freedom, is because if you don't feel like the organization or that myself is taking the situation seriously enough, then you do have the ability to report it also, if that makes sense. All right. Well, we're going to break into our breakout sessions. So anyone with nursery is going to go with Rochelle. Toddlers is going to go with Brandy. Preschool is going to go with Bella. And elementary is going to go with Kristen and Brittany. And then we will call it a day. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate you all. This is such valuable information for us to know. So thank you all so much.